A very good evening and welcome to Primetime News on TV. For the news first, where the people come first. I'm Martin Satyanesan.
And I'm Thiruni Karunaratna. Here are tonight's top stories. Government will be accountable to the public. President tells Sri Lankans residing in the United States. President concludes US visit. Begins official visit to Japan. Court grants permission for Sampath Manamperi to be detained for 90 days for questioning. Another stash of weapons hidden by Kehel Baddara Padme discovered in Paliagoda. Colombo High Court calls for pre-trial reports related to Krish deal that involves Namal Rajapaksa. 2026 appropriation bill presented to Parliament. Estimated government expenditure 4,400 billion rupees.
On to those stories in detail. President Anurukumara Dissanayake says the government will continue to uphold its accountability to the people and prioritize fulfilling the people's aspirations.
President Anurukumara Dissanayake met with the Sri Lankan community residing in the United States. The event was organized by the Sri Lanka Permanent Mission to the United Nations in New York and was attended by a group including professionals residing in the United States.
අපි දැන් මේ ජයග්‍රහණ ලබාගෙන අවුරුද්දක් ගත වෙලා තිබෙනවා. දැන් අපි මේ අවුරුද්ද පිළිබඳ පසුවිපරම් කළ යුතු වන්නේ.
It has been a year since we achieved this victory. Now it is time to reflect on the past year. What were the objectives behind building this government and have the results matched those objectives? However, we are not ready to be judged based on the opinions of groups that neither contributed to forming this administration nor supported it. If anyone is to be judged, it should be on the reasons they brought us to power and whether our actions were right or wrong. Why were we entrusted with leadership? When an economic collapse is like this, the country loses a decade. 10 years are lost. However, we believe that we can restore the economy to the level it was in 2019 before the collapse. By next year, we can achieve a successful 2019 level economy. This is not mere political rhetoric. We can substantiate this with all the numbers and data. The main reason our economy suffered was our inability to earn the necessary amount of dollars. We have 4 main sectors that generate dollars. All 4 of these sectors have seen their highest growth in history this year. First, the tourism industry. Second, contributions from remittances. Third, export revenue. And fourth, direct foreign investments. By 2028, we must build an economy strong enough to repay our debt, and we are working toward that. I am confident that by 2028, we will have an economy capable of repaying that debt. This year, for the first time in Sri Lanka, government revenue exceeded the budgeted expectations in our budget document. The challenge we now face is how to ensure that the gains of this economy benefit the people rather than be lost. This year's budget is entirely designed with that goal in mind. It targets several key areas: government intervention to boost agriculture, intervention to grow the fisheries sector, development of small and medium enterprises, creation of new sectors, and establishing new economic opportunities in rural areas. We are shaping the budget to sustain economic growth and ensure that the benefits of these achievements reach the ordinary people.
The president also addressed the restructuring of the Ceylon Electricity Board.
පැරණි ආයතන ව්‍යුහයෙන් අපි වෙනස් කරනවා. දැන් විදුලි බල මණ්ඩලය ගත්තොත් සේවකයන් නිල වශයෙන් ඉන්න 20.
We are changing old institutional structures. The CEB currently has 26,000 official employees with 22,000 actively working. In January, proposals were made to increase electricity tariffs by 38%, while the PUCSL suggested a 20% reduction. How can the same data prompt one party to say that a 38% tariff hike is required and for another to say that a 20% reduction can be done? These conflicting proposals highlight flaws in the data. In June, the electricity tariff increase was adjusted from the initially proposed 33% to 18%. This highlights serious flaws in the data and information. Therefore, we have proposed a new institutional system to make the operations more efficient. The old system cannot run these institutions effectively. That is why we need to implement new structures. Anyone thinking we should continue with the old CEB is mistaken. Just because a certain system has been maintained for years, that doesn't mean it should be continued no matter what.
President Anurukumara Dissanayake also said that the government has taken steps to ensure the supremacy of the law.
අපේ රටේ නීතිය අපි කවුරුත් දන්නවා බලය ධනය හමුවේ නැමුණු නීතියක්.
Everyone knows that historically the law in our country has been shaped by power and wealth, often punishing the poor and vulnerable. Practically, we are proving that no one can evade the law in Sri Lanka. I have seen people claim we punished criminals unfairly. But look, the people who blamed each other over the last 76 years are now realizing the consequences of their actions. Some now say that damage was caused because they pointed fingers at each other with no proof. These individuals are now regretting their actions from back then. This shows that when the law is enforced, it cannot be ignored. To ensure proper enforcement, we are bringing together various groups and consolidating them. Many fear how people will respond when the law reaches them. But let it be clear, the steps we have taken will not be reversed. The supremacy of law in the country must be established properly. Our responsibility is to the public mandate. Neither I, my cabinet, nor any minister serves for personal gain. I am accountable to the people. When they voted for us, they had expectations and hopes. It is to fulfill these expectations and hopes that I am committed. We will not bow to threats, intimidation or any external pressure. We act solely to serve the people.
ජනවරමේ අපේක්ෂාවන් මුදුන් පත් කර ගැනීම සඳහා අපි වැඩ කරමු. කිසිවකට යටත් වෙන්නේ නැහැ.
The Sri Lankan community residing in the United States donated $25,000 to the Clean Sri Lanka initiative during the event. Meanwhile, having successfully concluded his visit to the United States to participate in the 80th session of the United Nations General Assembly, President Anurukumara Dissanayake departed for Japan from the John F. Kennedy International Airport. At the invitation of the Japanese government, the President will undertake an official visit to Japan from the 27th to the 30th of September. Accompanying President Anurukumara Dissanayake on this visit is Vijitha Herath, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism. The Acting Minister of Defence has granted approval to detain and question former SLPP Pradeshi Sabha candidate Sampath Manamperi for 90 days. The Western Province North Crimes Division informed the Balasmula Magistrates Court of this today. Magistrate Malsha Kodituaku ordered that the suspect be produced before the court upon the expiry of this detention period.
During today's hearing, the Western Province North Crimes Division presented a further report revealing that Kehilbhadra Padme, Commando Salintha and Bako Saman, who were brought back to Sri Lanka from Indonesia, had maintained direct contacts with the second suspect, Sampath Manamperi. Excerpt.
Bako Saman and Tambili Lahiru are currently in custody. Based on statements recorded from these two suspects, information regarding the second suspect emerged. Investigations indicate that Sampath Manamperi has had direct connections with Kehilbhadra Padme, Commando Salintha and Bako Saman and has committed acts threatening public security. Accordingly, he has been taken into custody under the Poisons, Opium and Dangerous Drugs Act.
End of excerpt. The investigating officer stated that the Acting Minister of Public Security has granted approval to detain and question Sampath Manamperi for 90 days for further investigation. Excerpt.
Your Honor, statements were recorded from Bako Saman on the 21st September which revealed information regarding firearms. Following this, investigators recovered a live hand grenade, a T-56 firearm, 115 live rounds of T-56 ammunition and a pistol from the suspect. Additional weapons and explosives are believed to be hidden and are yet to be recovered. Your Honor, therefore, the suspect will be taken into the custody of the Western Province North Crimes Division. Subsequently, the matter will be presented before the Magistrates Court No. 5 at Halsdorf. All investigations are being conducted in accordance with proper legal procedures.
End of excerpt. During the hearing, the suspect's lawyer argued that detaining the suspect under the Prevention of Terrorism Act was unlawful. The magistrate, after considering the facts presented, delivered her order. Excerpt.
The court is satisfied with the submissions made in the petition. The suspect is to be produced before the court upon the expiry of the detention period. Accordingly, arrangements should be made to present the suspect before court on the 19th December.
End of excerpt. Investigators informed the court that Charit Madhusankar, a driver at the Ceylon Electricity Board who is being presented as the third suspect in the case, facilitated the transportation of the second suspect, Sampath Manamperi, to Colombo and made arrangements to keep him in custody. Investigators also stated in court that several documents related to suspicious containers found at the suspect's residence were seized. During the hearing, the suspect's counsel stated that his client is a driver at the Ceylon Electricity Board and that he only provided transportation to Sampath Manamperi to meet lawyers in Colombo at the request of the second suspect. The Counsel further stated that the documents mentioned by the investigators were not in his client's possession but were held by the second suspect's wife. The defense requested the court to release the suspect on suitable bail, arguing there is no basis for continued detention. After considering the matter, the magistrate ordered that the suspect be held in protective custody until the 8th of October. Sampath Manamperi's brother, Pial Manamperi, was also produced in court today and will remain in custody until the 8th of October.
Sri Lanka police say that weapons, including more than 500 rounds of T-56 ammunition believed to belong to Kehel Badara Padme, were recovered in Paliguda. The raid was carried out by officers from the Western Province North Crimes Division.
The Western Province North Crimes Division questioned Kehel Badara Padme, an organised criminal currently held under detention order at the Criminal Investigation Department on the 24th. Police said that during questioning, Padme requested permission to make a phone call to a person abroad, claiming that the hidden weapons could be recovered through the call. Accordingly, officers of the Western Province North Crime Division contacted an individual residing abroad as directed by Kehel Badara Padme and inquired about the weapons he had supplied. Excerpt.
Hand over the micro pistol and the parcel with the T-56 firearms to these gentlemen.
End of excerpt. The individual who was in contact with Padme at the time had promised to hand them over within 2 days. Accordingly, the person left the weapons at a designated location and informed police officers of its whereabouts. The site was near the Paliagoda Fish Market complex. Police recovered 520 rounds of T-56 ammunition, 3 T-56 magazines, a micro pistol with a magazine, a foreign manufactured revolver, a pair of handcuffs and a military uniform from the location. Investigators suspect that the ammunition had been obtained from the army. A woman was arrested in the Ragama Kandaliyad area with 1 kilogram of crystal methamphetamine or ice and 560 grams of heroin. Police stated that the drugs were recovered during a raid carried out at a house based on tip-off received. 4 individuals from a neighbouring house have also been taken into custody for allegedly assisting the homeowner to escape. The suspect was presented before the Valisira Magistrates Court and remanded until the 1st of October.
The Colombo High Court directed its registrar to summon the pre-trial report submitted to the 4th Magistrates Court in the case filed by the Attorney General against former Minister Namal Rajapaksa concerning the Krish deal. The case was taken up today before Colombo High Court Judge Nadi Aparna Suwandurugoda. Defendant Namal Rajapaksa appeared in court. President's counsel Sampath Mendes, appearing on behalf of Namal Rajapaksa, stated that some of the documents requested by the defendant have not yet been provided by the prosecution. He emphasized that these documents are very important for ensuring a fair trial. Responding, Deputy Solicitor General Vasanta Pereira, appearing for the prosecution, said that most of the requested documents have already been provided. He added that the Criminal Investigation Department has been informed about the documents the defendant claims to have not yet received and will take steps to provide all available documents promptly. The judge directed that the documents requested by the defendant be provided before the next court date. The case has been scheduled for a pre-trial conference on the 18th of December. The Attorney General filed this case alleging that an offence under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act was committed by receiving 70 million rupees from the Indian company Krish, claiming that the funds were intended to promote rugby in Sri Lanka.
That's just a baseless story. Back then, there were stories in our villages about someone who would steal from others and then claim they were catching thieves. That's how the JVP operates. They use this so-called pickpocket theory to make it seem like thieves were being caught. Now, before the government starts pointing fingers at us, they need to first tell the public and the country who actually gave permission to release these 2 containers and the other 323 containers. Don't try to pin the blame on us without answering that question, because that excuse won't fly anymore.
When
we talk about politics in the villages, our people expressed different opinions. That's generally how politics work in this country. However, within the democratic framework of this country, everyone has the right to speak, and those listening should do so with wisdom, I believe. Therefore, the party's discipline committee will provide a response from the party regarding that matter.
Newsfirst with the people. The Department of Meteorology says that the prevailing rainy conditions will gradually recede after tomorrow.
Rainfall has decreased significantly compared to yesterday, but isolated showers are still expected in the western Sabaragamuwa, southern, northwestern, Kandy and Nuwara districts. Some areas in these regions could receive over 100 millimeters of rain. Winds are also expected to pick up across the island. During the night, particularly in the north, north-central, northwestern and western slopes of the central hills, central, Trincomalee and Hambantota districts, wind speeds may reach 40 to 50 kilometers per hour. At sea, showers or thunder showers are likely along the coast from Puttalam to Colombo and down to Mathura. Strong winds are expected along the coastal belt, with speeds of 50 to 60 kilometers per hour from Puttalam to Kankasanture and from Galle to Pothuil. Conditions are expected to gradually ease after tomorrow. Tomorrow, rainfall of 50 to 75 millimeters is possible in the western, southern, Sabaragamuwa, northwestern, Kandy and Nuwara district.
Heavy rain lashed Colombo suburbs this morning. At around 8 am, Nugegoda and Kirulapana experienced significant downpours. A tree has fallen at the Maradana Technical Junction this morning due to heavy rain. The tree had fallen on a bus, however, no injuries were reported. Army personnel and municipal workers managed to remove the tree. Heavy rains caused the Nugaduwa Canal in Galle to overflow, flooding Walahangduwa Road. Meanwhile, the water level of the Ginganga has risen due to the rainfall in the upper catchment areas of the Ginganga.
It has been revealed before the Committee on Public Enterprises that the Ceylon Electricity Board incurred a loss of 594.36 billion rupees from 2014 to 2022. Meanwhile, a debate took place today in Parliament regarding the report of the 10th Parliament's 4th COPE investigation during the adjournment of the sitting.
Based on the information we have uncovered, this committee must be granted the authority to take definitive legal action regarding financial fraud, misappropriation of funds or similar misconduct occurring in this country. Therefore, we are presenting such a proposal today, and this is how the proceedings of this debate are being initiated. Honourable Speaker, particularly as a government and specifically as this Committee on Public Enterprises, we are responsible for overseeing 457 SOEs under the committee's jurisdiction. In all these institutions, we have directed special attention to maintaining financial discipline. Many institutions assume that we will not intervene in such matters. So far, we have conducted complete investigations into 14 institutions and have identified a significant number of irregularities. For instance, the LRC Act stipulates that employees should be provided with residential facilities. However, instead of complying, land under the LRC was divided into 10 perch plots and sold for large sums of money. These institutions have actively worked to bypass audit procedures. A clear example is the Mahapula Fund. 500 million rupees provided by the responsible authority along with a 175 million loan was used to establish the SLIIT institution. Through multiple agreements, the SLIIT institution was structured so that the Auditor General could not fully monitor its operations. How does this happen? Now, the profits from this end up in the hands of a private group. Another case is Lanka Transformers Limited. CEB held a 63% stake in LTL, while another private company held 27%. However, through a loan secured against the LTL assets and with a portion of the board's influence, a separate private company was created to acquire the remaining 27% and gradually reduce the CEB's 63% stake. Subsequently, it was claimed that audits were not applicable and the Auditor General had no right to monitor this. How can this be justified? These are state assets, public wealth, yet they are being misused. The same situation applies to the Airport and Aviation Services Authority. Since 2007, passenger capacity was increased from 6 million to 12 million. Approximately 1,672.8 million rupees was spent, in addition to payments made in USD and Japanese yen. After that, projects were undertaken, yet both projects proved highly unsuccessful. Facilities were built for aircraft parking, but airplanes still cannot be docked. Passenger terminals were partially constructed. Only 5% of the work was completed, despite around 30% of the funds being spent. Work has since halted, and now efforts are being made to restart it. This is after this government came into power. Public funds have been destroyed in this way. Now we are determined to take action against officials who are involved in such theft, fraud and corruption. At the same time, we are steadfastly supporting officials who, in opposition to these activities, dedicated their time, effort and resources to protect the wealth of the nation. We are encouraging and recognizing them for their commitment to safeguarding public assets throughout this process.
While the Ceylon Electricity Board is struggling, today the Lanka Transformers Limited has achieved international success. It has secured a significant space in the global electricity and power plant sector. What we see is that this government looks at certain parties like crocodiles spotting prey. They look at private companies with suspicion. They look at semi-government companies with suspicion. They look at those earning higher revenues with suspicion. They even look at those bringing income to the state with suspicion, saying they're making more than this suspiciously.
රජයට ආදායම් ගේන දිහාත් බලන්නේ මේට වඩා ආදායම් ගේනවා කියලා වපරයෙන්. නමුත් ඔබතුමා දන්නවද CB එකේ LTL එකේ දෙකේම සභාපතිවරයා එකම කෙනෙක්?
Do you know that both the CEB and the LTL have the same chairman? We are trying to find out why one institution incurs losses while the other makes profits under the same chairman. So do not panic. A related report will be presented in Parliament as well. We also brought the Airport and Aviation Services Limited before the COP. This institution's airport passenger terminal project began some time ago but faced changes with government transitions. In 2012, its design was changed to resemble a lotus flower. In 2015, the plan was changed again to resemble a bow leaf. This is a way of taking revenge on the previous government. Out of that same resentment, the next government changes the roof design again. But who pays the price? The people pay the price. This is how millions and billions have been wasted. What we suffered in 2021 and 2022 are the very results of such practices. These are the reasons why people were driven onto the streets.
During this government's tenure, Sri Lanka has witnessed the largest fraud in its history, the container fraud. The 323 container fraud. Even today, this issue remains and the committee report prepared by the President should be submitted to Parliament. The very first matter mentioned is that the Committee for Container Release worked without transparency. If I'm not mistaken, the chairman of that committee was Bimal Ratnayaka.
Today's intense discussion about the port and customs stems from the surfacing of ice, also known as methamphetamine, in these containers. This matter has already been referred to the CID to investigate whether there are other related issues. What these people are trying to do now is to cover up this ice story by talking about corruption because these ice containers arrived. This is an act of deflection and distraction. They are trying to divert public attention, but whatever these attempts may be, the public will not be fooled.
The appropriation bill for the 2026 fiscal year was presented to Parliament today by Acting Minister of Finance, Professor Anil Jayantha Fernando. According to the appropriation bill, which the current government intends to submit as its second budget, total government expenditure for the year 2026 is projected at 4,434 billion rupees.
The second reading of the appropriation bill for 2026, also known as the budget speech, has been scheduled for Friday the 7th of November. Accordingly, President Anurukumar Dissanayake will present the budget to Parliament in his capacity as Finance Minister. The debate on the second reading is set to take place from the 8th to the 14th of November, with the vote on the second reading scheduled for 6 p.m. on Friday, the 14th of November. The committee stage of the debate on the budget will begin on the 15th of November, with the vote on the third reading of the budget planned for 6 p.m. on Friday, the 5th of December. According to the appropriation bill, the largest allocation has been made to the Ministry of Finance, amounting to 634 billion rupees. The Ministry of Defence has been allocated with 455 billion rupees, while the Ministry of Health and Mass Media is allocated with 554 billion rupees. The Ministry of Education, Higher Education and Vocational Education has been allocated 301 billion rupees. The Ministry of Provincial Councils and Local Government will receive 618 billion rupees, and the Ministry of Public Administration has been allocated 596 billion rupees.
The final rites of the monks from the Mal Siripura Na Uyana Aranya Senasana, who passed away in an accident, is scheduled to be held in Pansiagama tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. The bodies of 4 monks have been placed at the Senasana premises, where a large crowd has gathered to pay their final respects.
7 monks from Malsiripura, now in Aranya Senasana, died the night before last when the cable cart they were travelling in suddenly collapsed. 3 foreign monks also lost their lives, while 6 others were hospitalized with injuries. The Theras who passed away in the accident were Venerable Malwani Gama Samidhi Thera, Navalapitiye Uttarananda Thera, Nugegoda Vipassi Thera, Udawalave Santasumana Thera, Dhammagavesi Thera from India, Dhammaransi Thera from Romania, and Dhammarakita Thera from Russia. It is reported that the remains of the 3 Theras from overseas will be taken back to their respective countries.
පන්සියගම නගරයට ආසන්නව තියෙන මේ භූමිදාන කරන කනත්තට ගෙනියන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. නීතිමය කටයුත්තක් නිසා ආදාහනයට අවසර ලැබුණේ නැහැ.
Newsfirst, main sponsor.
A trusted place for your fixed deposits. Valuable FD, 10.25% for 15 months, 11% for 24 months. Valuable FD, the symbol of stability.
Minister of Justice and National Integration Harshan Ananaikara has reaffirmed the Sri Lankan government's unwavering commitment to building a nation that respects diversity, upholds the rule of law and strengthens democratic institutions. He was speaking at the 29th session of the Committee on Enforced Disappearances at the United Nations office in Geneva.
The Committee on Enforced Disappearances is the body of independent experts which monitors the implementation of the Convention for the Protection of All Persons Against Enforced Disappearances by the state parties. At its 548th meeting of the 29th session, Sri Lanka was taken into consideration. Justice Minister Harshan Ananaikara led the Sri Lankan delegation at this session, with Sri Lankan representatives on standby to answer questions virtually from Colombo.
The government of President Anurukumar Dissanayake is firmly and genuinely committed to working towards a country that respects and celebrates the diversity of its people, with no division or discrimination. Our commitment in this regard arises from our principles and experiences, and the paramount need to ensure the rights and well-being of our own people. In 2024, the people of Sri Lanka elected a new government in a free and fair election, followed by a peaceful transition of power. The government is committed to bringing new political culture to ensure that racism, extremism, corruption are addressed robustly and the rule of law applies equally to all people. The democratic institutions will be made stronger to enhance public trust, contributing to political, economic and social stability. It is our intention not to betray the trust reposed in us by the people of Sri Lanka.
The minister said Sri Lanka is taking decisive steps to reform its counter-terrorism framework and strengthen reconciliation mechanisms.
The government has initiated action to introduce new counter-terrorism legislation with a view to repealing the current Prevention of Terrorism Act. The Cabinet appointed committee in this regard, formulating proposals and continuing its deliberations towards finalizing a draft counter-terrorism legislation that aligns with international standards and best practices. The government expects to gazette the new counter-terrorism legislation very soon, repealing the current prevention of terrorism. The ongoing work in this regard is at an advanced state. The Cabinet of Ministers has recently approved an additional 375 million to the Office on Missing Persons in order to expedite the investigations of missing persons allegations, which it views as a special priority. To date, the OMP has successfully traced 23 missing persons, issued certificates of absence, and made referrals to the Office for Reparation for the provision of reparations. In addition to the OMP, or the Office of Missing Persons, Sri Lanka has a strong and a vibrant governance structure and an independent judiciary, further strengthened by the vigilance and oversight of independent commissions. The government continues to strengthen the domestic reconciliation mechanisms, which, apart from the OMP, also include the Office for Reparations and Office for National Unity and Reconciliation, by guaranteeing their independence and making the necessary resources allocations.
The minister noted that Sri Lanka is preparing to introduce a new integrated compensation system for families affected by enforced disappearances.
The government is acutely conscious of the immense impact of enforced disappearances on victims' families in all parts of the country, and is firm in its commitment to addressing challenges while moving forward. We are working to introduce a new system to compensate these families, which will go beyond the one-time revival grant, while avoiding delays and that have occurred so far and ensuring transparency. The new system will provide long-term support and enable an integrated system that includes fair financial compensation, along with vocational education, livelihood opportunities, health facilities, psychosocial care, and restoration of social dignity.
Sri Lanka's Minister of Foreign Affairs Vijay Herath met with the Director General of the World Trade Organization for bilateral discussion at the United Nations headquarters. The meeting focused on Sri Lanka's engagement with the multilateral trading system and explored avenues to enhance cooperation with the World Trade Organization. The Director General of the World Trade Organization, while discussing the current global trade landscape, highlighted both the positive developments and challenges facing the member states. She also shared insights on the ongoing reform agenda at the WTO, aimed at making the organization more responsive to the needs of developing economies. The Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP, is likely to welcome Sri Lanka and 3 other countries as members soon. Sri Lanka is currently in ascension talks to join the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP, the world's largest free trade agreement. Indonesia's Vice Minister of Trade, speaking to reporters following the 4th RCEP Ministers meeting held as part of the 57th ASEAN Economic Ministers gathering, confirmed that Sri Lanka, Hong Kong, Chile and Bangladesh are actively engaged in discussions to become part of the 15-member trade bloc. She added that no objections had been raised by existing RCEP members regarding the inclusion of the 4 countries. The RCEP, which came into force in 2022, currently includes all 10 ASEAN member states, along with China, Japan, South Korea, Australia and New Zealand. The agreement covers a market of over 2 billion people, representing approximately 30% of the global GDP, and aims to lower tariffs, boost investment and facilitate freer movement of goods and services across the region.
Uplifting environmental sustainability for better university rankings in Sri Lanka. A report by the Institute of Environmental Professionals Sri Lanka, together with the Centre for Environmental Studies and Sustainable Development of the Open University of Sri Lanka, was launched in Colombo yesterday.
The Institute of Environmental Professionals Sri Lanka, together with the Centre for Environmental Studies and Sustainable Development, Open University of Sri Lanka, announced the launching of the report Uplifting Environmental Sustainability for Better University Rankings in Sri Lanka in Colombo yesterday. Speaking at the event, Chairman of the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption emphasized on good governance.
Sri Lanka stands at a critical juncture. We have immense potential, a rich culture, heritage, strategic geographic location, and resourceful persons like you all. Yet we also face challenges: economic recovery, rebuilding public trust, and ensuring that development is inclusive and sustainable. At this moment, the choice we make as public leaders is shape the path of our country for decades to come. At the heart of good governance lies public trust. Without trust, even the most well-intentioned policies falter, and the most ambitious reforms lose their meaning. Sadly, we must acknowledge a growing challenge our public service is often perceived, fairly or unfairly, as slow, hesitant, or even compromised. Allegations of corruption circulate widely through social media. And these narratives, whether proven or not, undermine the public service. But there's a truth. When public officers hesitate to make timely decisions out of fear, suspicion, or uncertainty, the entire machinery of government suffers. Roads remain unbuilt, projects stalled, and opportunities for our citizens are lost. Good governance is not a merely concept in a text or conventions. It is the foundation upon which nation rise so forward. Countries that uphold integrity and transparency attract investment, foster innovation, and enjoy the confidence of their citizens. Those that fail to do so face stagnation, instability, and loss of public trust. Integrity means doing right things even when no one is watching. Transparency ensures that decisions, processes, and resources are open to scrutiny. And good governance is the framework that utilizes these values into a system that delivers justice, prosperity, and fairness.
This landmark report presents the key outcomes of the national workshop held in February 2025, aiming to strengthen the sustainability performance and global competitiveness of Sri Lankan universities.
AHK Sri Lanka hosted the 11th edition of the top German brands in Sri Lanka yesterday.
The 11th edition of the top German brands in Sri Lanka took place in Colombo. This event showcases German innovation, quality and business partnerships in Sri Lanka.
The presence of over 300 German brands at this event signifies not only the robust economic ties between our two nations, but also the mutual respect and trust that have been cultivated through decades of collaboration. A special focus of the new German government is on wealth creation, economic growth and prosperity. In line with this renewed emphasis on increased economic growth, AHK in September of this year hosted a German tourism business with companies interested in enhancing and increasing their business activities in Sri Lanka growing tourism sector. Economic growth and prosperity are also one of the key pillars of the Sri Lankan government's policy, and this is well aligned with Germany's foreign policy goals. In these challenging times, we can forge closer bilateral ties in business, in culture, and from people to people. Ties that are truly inspiring and in which Germany stands as a good friend, a steady and reliable partner, as our two countries navigate global, regional and domestic challenges.
Treasury Secretary Dr. Harshana Surya Perumal said that Sri Lanka is emerging as a compelling investment destination.
That is, as an investment destination, a success story to tell to the world how stability has been brought about within a short period of time. In one angle, political stability, where a parliament with 2/3 majority, economic stability, where multiple indicators showcase the achievements within a short period, and social stability, allowing citizens to engage very confidently with their day-to-day engagements, including importation of motor vehicles that was suspended for nearly 5 years. This transformation is a mixture of multiple facts, political leadership to do the right thing, not just by statement, but by action, demonstration, to ensure the law of the land is prevailed and no one is above law, by ensuring equal opportunities, investors, businesses, to create a level playing field, a fair treatment and a hearing for your individual case. This is the trust, this is the confidence that we need to give to you as business enterprises that Sri Lanka is ready. Our economic indicators, consecutive growth in several of last quarters, 8 of them to be precise, continuous GDP growth. Last quarter results were released very recently, hitting nearly 5%. Our reserve position is getting stronger by the day, despite the fact that we have opened up importation, which gives opportunities for high quality vehicles from Germany to enter into Sri Lankan market. Sri Lanka is achieving its revenue targets month on month for the first time. Not only that, for the first time in the history, all 3 revenue agencies, major ones, Inland Revenue, Customs, Excise Department, all 3 are exceeding their revenue targets for the current year.
Organized by AHK Sri Lanka with support of the German Embassy, the event brought together leading German companies, local business leaders and government representatives, while also providing opportunities for networking, brand showcasing and discussions on future collaborations, marking over a decade of German corporate presence in Sri Lanka.
A twin book launch, Pearl Wise and Crab by Bradley Emerson, was officially launched in Colombo.
Pearl Wise is described as a continuation of the Bradley Emerson's prior work, Awaken, which drew from his podcast. It is a collection of life truths and personal experiences intended to be a whisper that makes you think. Drawing from Sri Lankan realities and universal truths, Crab explores the tactics of opposition, the noise from the bucket, and the persistent yap of the pack. Through vivid metaphors, strategic frameworks, and hard-learned wisdom, it equips readers to stand straight in the storm and lead with clarity in a world that often prefers the bucket to the breakthrough.
I think writing a book, like even work, some people call it passion, but it's a phase of love. Pearl Wise is actually a continuation of Awaken. So what you find there is life truths. It's all experience I've had. The whole idea of Awaken is about asking to wake up. The Pearl Wise is a string of pearls of wisdom has come out of my own experiences. Now coming to Crab, the book runs on a theme of a phrase told to me by my mother. The reason I wrote this book is to tell young people, use the word crabs, will come. There are crabs in the context of backstabbing, character assassination. The purpose of this book is to tell the young people the words that my mom told. Don't worry about the shadow looking crooked as long as you are standing straight.
A proud product of St. Benedict's College, Bradley holds an MBA from the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura and is a fellow of the Institute of Bankers.
The Feminist Futures Art, Activism and South Asian Womanhood exhibition was inaugurated in Colombo today.
The Feminist Futures Art, Activism and South Asian Womanhood exhibition is set to explore feminist art across South Asia, interrogating patriarchy, colonialism and socio-religious structures. The showcase aims to spotlight the resilience and creative agency of women artists as they reclaim narratives and drive feminist activism forward. Featuring works by leading artists from Sri Lanka, India, Bangladesh and Nepal, the exhibition brings together diverse perspectives under one platform. A press conference was held in Colombo today to brief the media ahead of the launch.
Over the last century, our world has witnessed extraordinary change. We have seen revolutions in technology, shifts in political power, and in imaginings of new global futures. Yet, through all these transformations, one constantly continues to shadow our societies: the systemic oppression of the female body by the patriarchy. Across South Asia, the oppression takes many forms. Reports from just last year estimate that over 50,000 women are killed across the region in gender-related crimes, while millions more live under the daily threat of violence. South Asia tragically bears one of the highest burdens of hate crimes against women in the world. It is against this backdrop of violence and invisibility that feminist futures, art activism, and South Asian womanhood emerged. This exhibition refuses to rely on Western frameworks to interpret the female body. Instead, it insists on examining our own histories on our own terms, drawing from our own cultural vocabularies.
The exhibition was inaugurated this evening by Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya. The exhibition will officially open to the public tomorrow at 10 AM at the Lotus Gallery, National Museum, Colombo, and will run until the 8th of October.
The PMTT Asia 42 members from 11 countries toured Sri Lanka on 21 tuk-tuks, blending adventure with charity. They concluded their journey today in Hikkaduwa.
PMTT Asia began their three-wheeler tour from Negombo on the 20th, carrying out various community service activities across Sri Lanka, including Kurunegala, Sigiriya, Jaffna, Trincomalee, Ampara, Munaragala and Thikwalla. They arrived in Hikkaduwa yesterday afternoon and on the final day of the tour visited the Sinigama Foundation of Goodness. From a fun road trip to a global movement, their tuk-tuks blend adventure with charity, bringing aid and hope to communities across Sri Lanka. While in Jaffna, the riders were hosted by Fox Resorts Jaffna, where they were given a taste of Jaffna and its lifestyle.
Gummatha is sowing seeds of hope in rural communities. A special book collection drive has been launched for libraries being established in schools across underserved areas, giving children in these communities greater access to knowledge, learning and the opportunities that come with it. This year, the Sirasa TV World Children's Day celebration will be held on Sunday, the 28th of September at the Vihara Mahadevi Park, Colombo, and you too can take part in this initiative from 8:30.
In your international news, tensions erupted at the United Nations General Assembly today as many delegates walked out in protest the moment Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu took the stage, signaling a strong diplomatic backlash.
A growing number of countries have recognized a Palestinian state, with more than 145 nations now joining the call for international recognition. They join Canada, Australia and Portugal, as well as the United Kingdom, which announced its recognition on Sunday, in a move that deepens Israel's international isolation amid anger regarding its conduct in the Gaza war. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed the United Nations General Assembly in New York today. He stated that recognition of a Palestinian state is quote, "Sheer madness, it's insane and we won't do it," unquote, adding that recognition by several other countries, quote unquote, disgraceful.
Please order in the hall.
As Netanyahu took to the stage, dozens of people filed out of the room in New York in protest, as some applauded.
Please order in the hall and please be seated.
This week, the leaders of France, Britain, Australia, Canada, and other countries unconditionally recognized a Palestinian state. They did so after the horrors committed by Hamas on October 7th. Horrors praised on that day, nearly 90% of Palestinians supported the attack on October 7th. I have a message for these leaders. When the most savage terrorists on earth are effusively praising your decision, you didn't do something right. You did something wrong, horribly wrong. Your disgraceful decision will encourage terrorism against Jews and against innocent people everywhere. It will be a mark of shame on all of you.
In your sports news, the final match of the Super 4 stage in the 2025 Asia Cup T20 cricket tournament is being held today between Sri Lanka and India. Both teams have played 2 matches each in the Super 4 stage so far. Having won both of their matches, the Indian team has already qualified for the final. The match kicked off at 8 p.m. today. All matches of the 2025 Asia Cup T20 tournament can be watched live on TV1, the official local broadcasting rights holder of the tournament, and online via www.sirasatv.lk.
2 awareness sessions on the 2025 Women's Cricket World Cup took place today in Colombo and Bangalore.
The 2025 Women's Cricket World Cup will be co-hosted by India and Sri Lanka. The press conference in Bangalore was attended by the captains of the Indian, Australian, New Zealand and England women's teams. The press conference in Colombo saw the participation of the captains of the Sri Lanka, Pakistan, South Africa and Bangladesh women's teams.
I'm super excited, and not only me, the whole team, and we want to enjoy the moment, playing one game one time. We don't want to take too much pressure on our shoulders, just play our natural game freely. That's what we want to do. We never make finals in 50 World Cup or T20 World Cup, so this is really good opportunity. So if we can play our best cricket in this com, I know we can make semi-finals. As a team, we are going like underdog tags all the time. So, but same time I can say we beat India a couple of times in the big stage in Asia Cup finals, and last try series we beat India. So we want to execute our right plan, right time. We have to play our fearless cricket. We have that courage. So I know we have good youngsters in our team because they always play their fearless cricket. We have good under 19 players and under 23 players. So few youngsters in the team, they're playing really good cricket last couple of months. Even the seniors. I hope we can beat India, and we can make history in this World Cup as well.
We have been playing good cricket, and it's only about, going with good confidence and doing the things the way, our team is expecting from us, other than just thinking what happened in the past. We have learned a lot from our mistakes, and hopefully this time, we'll try to par this.
We have a great advantage to play here and execute our skills, because we know we played all of games in the same venue and same conditions, so that would be advantage for us.
This tournament, featuring 8 teams, will commence on the 30th in Guwahati, India. 11 matches of the tournament are scheduled to be held in Sri Lanka. All matches of the 2025 Women's Cricket World Cup will be broadcast live on TV1, the official local broadcasting rights holder.
From that, we bring to a close this edition of Primetime News on TV1.
Thank you for joining us. Good night.